Today on Good Morning Maine, new details on a shooting in Bangor that left one man in jail and another in the hospital.
Plus, Maine's Government Oversight Committee continues its probe into the state's child welfare system.
And we'll meet Bangor's new street patrol team, working to keep the downtown area safe and clean. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us. We'll have those stories and much more coming up over the next hour. But first, a check of the forecast. Looking like the stretch of sunny weather's coming to an end.
Yep.
Clouds moving in today. Chance of isolated showers, but it will still be pretty warm out there.
Yeah, especially seems like on the coast.
Yeah.
Here's Devin Biggs with that forecast.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Happy Thursday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Irish Collision Center. Irish Collision Center offers expert repairs with a 3D frame measuring system, aluminum repair equipment. Our recent expansion boosts capacity, faster service. We're dedicated to quality every time. Visit us today. Alrighty, here we go. So some areas of dense fog greeting us in a few spots this morning, mainly across parts of Washington County and in the northwestern parts of the state. Again, nothing too extreme compared to anything yesterday in the northwestern parts of the state. One map I haven't shown you in a while is the advisories map. We now have a small crowd advisory along the coast right about in here, and now will last until about 8 p.m. as we head towards your Friday. But otherwise, we do have clouds that are starting to move in from the south and going toward the north. Later on today, there will be a small chance for a shower or two that may develop courtesy of this system. There it is, right about in here, going from the south and going to the north. It's going to try to get closer to us, but it may have a hard time doing so before it gets pushed away. So futurecast moving forward, we got clouds that are approaching. There's that small chance for showers, not only inland, but along the coast later on today and again tonight as we head towards early tomorrow morning. As for the winds, not too bad today, roughly at around 5 miles per hour. They may pick up a little bit later on tonight, but especially as we head towards tomorrow, 10 to 20 mile per hour gusts will be expected. So your hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period, a lot of clouds, maybe an isolated shower. Temperatures still warming up into the 80s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
All right, thank you, Devin. We'll see you then. New details this morning on a Mississippi man accused of shooting a man in Bangor. 30-year-old Martavius Moore is accused of opening fire on a man following an altercation Tuesday night on Hogan Road. According to the Bangor Daily, the alleged victim and a co-worker were walking back to a motel after eating at a local restaurant and apparently crossed the road. That's when Moore yelled something at them, and then the victim walked alongside the vehicle and appeared to throw a punch at Moore. Moore then allegedly shot the man and drove away. Moore was later arrested at another motel and is facing a number of charges, including elevated aggravated assault and reckless conduct with a dangerous weapon. His lawyer says he acted in self-defense. The alleged victim was shot in the head and neck area. At last report, was in stable condition.
A fire at a home in Holden yesterday morning prompted a widespread response. As our Doug Banks reports, the homeowners were uninjured, but 3 family pets are now missing.
A family has been displaced following a Wednesday morning house fire. According to Holden Fire Rescue Lieutenant Chris Luce, the department was dispatched to 192 Cottage Shore Drive in Holden at around 8:30 in the morning for a report of a building fire.
The off-coming crew was still at the station, so we had a little bit of extra staffing. It's really one of the farthest points away from the fire station in town. It's down the dirt road, real rural area.
Crews arrived to find the home billowing smoke.
Saw a well-involved structure fire.
Lieutenant Liu says the fire was quickly upgraded to a second alarm and then a third alarm.
Because of how royal it is and how much water supply we were going to need. Initial crews on scene pulled and did a quick attack on the fire, got a lot knocked down. 8
separate departments assisted Holden Fire Rescue. Some crews worked to knock down the flames, while others provided a water supply from Brewer Lake just down the road.
With the road here, it's really hard getting the water supply down here.
Lieutenant Luce says the fire started around the floor of the main living area.
It's pretty intensive damage to the whole building. Heat and smoke damage through a lot of it, and there was quite a bit in the fire area of origin.
No people were injured. However, 3 pets were missing as of this morning.
But the door was also open, so they might have made it out when not showed up.
In a statement to WVII, the family says, "We are very thankful to the first responders and the firefighters who came right away, and the neighbors who stepped in to help." The State Fire Marshal's office is investigating the cause of the fire. In Holden, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, meanwhile, rescuers airlifted a man from the Beehive Trail in Acadia National Park on Wednesday morning. Spokesperson Amanda Pollock says it was around 8 a.m. when park rangers responded to a report of a 58-year-old man experiencing a serious medical event. After assessing the patient's medical condition and location about halfway up the nearly vertical section of the trail, Pollock says the rescue team of 16 people requested help from the Maine Forest Service helicopter. The helicopter took him to a waiting ambulance near Sand Beach. The Beehive Trail was closed for about an hour during that rescue mission. There's no word on the man's condition this morning.
The last in a series of 4 case reviews of child deaths was presented in Maine's Government Oversight Committee. This report featured details of the Office of Child and Family Services interactions with the family of Silas Melvin, a Milo infant who died 33 days after birth in 2021. His father, Reginald Melvin, pleaded guilty to manslaughter in 2023 in connection with his death. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bichard has more.
OPEGA concluded that the casework during Silas's life was thorough and within policy, based on what we were able to determine from the available record.
Peter Schleck is the director of the Office of Program Evaluation and Government Accountability. His office just completed the 4th and final case review of child deaths that occurred in Maine with prior DHHS involvement and presented those findings to the Government Oversight Committee. At the heart of this case was Silas Melvin, an infant from Milo.
What is most challenging about the record OPEGA reviewed in this case, perhaps, is the apparent gap between what the family was experiencing in real time and what the available record indicates was being shared with those responsible for intervening before it was too late.
According to the report, Silas's family's involvement with the Office of Child and Family Services began in 2018, years before Silas was born, and died 33 days after birth in 2021. One thing that Schleck pointed out from the report was a phone call that occurred a few weeks before Silas's death, where his maternal grandmother called Milo police. In later reports and in media outlets, the grandmother claims to have told the officer about a domestic abuse incident between Silas's parents. The officer disagrees with those accounts.
The officer also told OPEGA that the call was informational in nature and that they had no recollection of having received an accusation of current domestic violence at that time from Ms. Newbert's mother.
After OPEGA's report, the director of the Office of Child and Family Services spoke to lawmakers.
Given the interceding years between this prior involvement, which occurred in 2018, and Silas's birth and death in 2021, as well as our own comprehensive reviews of the case and the family history following Silas's death, and more general recommendations we have received from citizen review panels, the Child Welfare Ombudsman, we both agree with OPEGA's findings and have taken continued steps to address these findings.
The Government Oversight Committee will now hold a public hearing on the OPEGA report within the next month. At the State House, I'm Corey Bichard for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
4 different emergency medical services in Maine will be getting nearly $800,000. The money comes from the bipartisan Siren Reauthorization Act, co-authored by Senator Susan Collins and Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois. The grants support rural fire and EMS agencies nationwide. In a statement, Senator Collins says the investments in EMS services for agencies serving Maine's rural population will help improve the quality and accessibility of health care across our state. Locally, the Brooks Ambulance Service is getting $200,000 to improve EMS training for advanced emergency medical technicians and paramedics. Maine Health is also getting $200,000 to expand EMS recruitment and training and retention in Franklin County.
During a visit yesterday with U.S. Department of Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm, Governor Janet Mills announced the launch of a new home energy rebate program. The program is funded by a $36 million federal grant supported by the Biden-Harris administration's Inflation Reduction Act and will help eligible households save money on energy bills, upgrade to clean energy equipment, improve energy efficiency in their homes, and reduce air pollution. The Home Energy Rebate Program will be administered by Efficiency Maine, and it's meant to complement existing incentive programs, including the Mills administration's ongoing effort to get heat pumps installed in Maine homes to cut down on the state's dependence on heating oil. In the first year of the new program, low-income owners of manufactured homes and multifamily new construction projects will be eligible. After the first year, the program will expand to include moderate-income owners of manufactured homes. Available services and rebates vary depending on your eligibility, but some of the potential benefits include whole home heat pump installation, new electrical panel, and electrical wiring installation.
Well, a new law is in effect requiring schools to offer training to students and staff on how to administer the overdose reversal drug naloxone. The law, which received unanimous bipartisan support and was signed into effect by Governor Mills last summer, doesn't mandate students take part, but it does say the schools have to offer the training to students. Courtney Gary Allen is the organizing director of the Maine Recovery Advocacy Project and was involved in the work behind the bill. She says the legislation came into being through the efforts of youth impacted by substance abuse.
This story begins with a group of young people in Maine who have been directly impacted by substance use, coming together and telling their stories and making a decision to ask Senator Pouliot to sponsor LD 1315, which is now the law that we're seeing implemented. These young people have either lost people that they love to overdose or love people who are in long-term recovery. And really the intention behind this bill is to help ensure that young people understand what to do in the case of an overdose if it ever happens in their family or their community.
Gary Allen says the next step is for school districts around the state to implement a plan to offer that training to students and staff members.
All right, the time now is 6:11. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, September is Suicide Awareness Month. And we talked with a local doctor about how to navigate and address this painful reality.
We'll have the story coming up, but first another check of your forecast. A cloudy day ahead today with a chance of isolated showers. Highs around 82 degrees. Tonight the showers continue, lows dropping down to the upper 50s. Tomorrow, much like today, isolated showers expected on Friday with highs around 72. We'll be right back.
That nip in the air can only mean one thing. Dorsey's fall introductions have arrived, and we need to make room. Hundreds of items have been marked down store-wide. Sherwood by Sealy, king-size pocketed coil mattress with a power base. List price $18.59, now only $11.99. Full-size Sherwood mattresses. List price $4.99, now only $2.99. Dorsey's fall clearance is a perfect time to get any room in your home ready for the winter months. Dorsey Furniture, Route 1A, Holden.
You bought your Toyota because Toyota is the longest lasting brand. You put your trust in Toyota's reputation for quality. Now put your trust in Toyota-trained certified technicians who install genuine Toyota parts to help keep your Toyota a Toyota. Contact your New England Toyota dealer today to learn about affordable September service offers that feature genuine Toyota parts. Trust the experts at Toyota Service Centers and keep your Toyota a Toyota.
What's the least sexy thing your wife has ever worn in the bedroom?
Granny panties, Steve.
Don't miss Family Feud. Weekdays at 9 on ABC 7. Jeopardy is for everybody.
That's amazing.
With players just like you.
Paramedic, a retired teacher, psychiatrist.
The next super champion could be anyone. It could be you.
Oh, wow.
On Jeopardy. This week at 7:30, only on ABC 7.
September is Suicide Awareness Month, and Northern Light Acadia Hospital is continuing its effort to highlight this crucial public health issue. Dr. Anthony Ng is the current medical director of community services for Northern Light Acadia Hospital. He says despite years of efforts and interventions, some stigma still exists around seeking help for mental health issues. He says by talking about suicide instead of shying away from the topic, they hope to save lives.
When people are actually talking about it, they're actually asking for help. And that's the first clear sign something is going on. So by having a conversation, a welcoming conversation that's not stigmatizing, that's not judgmental, people can have the opportunity to vent. And then also at that point, you can identify what resources may help them.
Ng says some signs that someone may be in distress include withdrawal from friends and family and no longer doing things they used to enjoy. He says while the person may not be immediately suicidal, these changes signal that something could be wrong. So dialogue with that person, checking with their friends or coworkers, or for young people, checking with school staff is important. He also says if you sense a person is struggling, removing the means for them to hurt themselves is also key.
Whether it is firearms, whether it is, pills, I think those are things that people need to safeguard at home. It's just like any day, whether someone's suicidal or not, you need to have those security in place. It's often what really helps with suicide is having that little kind of break. When you have that intense thought, have a break where someone can help you, whether it's calling a crisis line who can talk you out, talking to a pastor, talking to a teacher. Those are all important pieces of intervention.
Isolation, substance use, and bullying are major risk factors for suicide. If you're struggling, there is help available. You can call or text 988 to speak with someone who cares. That crisis hotline is free and confidential.
Well, meanwhile, a new poll out Wednesday shows Republican Austin Theriault with a narrow lead over Congressman Jared Golden in Maine's 2nd Congressional District. A survey from Pan Atlantic Research shows Theriault polling at 47% support and Golden at 44%. Since February, Golden's favorability rating has dropped 19 points. This time 2 years ago, Golden was up 20 points in the polls against his Republican challenger at that time. These early polling numbers could provide context for how the presidential race could play out in the state's swing district.
In a heartfelt Facebook post on Tuesday, the owners of Wicked Brew Cafe in Bangor announced they will be closing their doors. Home to a variety of teas and wicked breakfast bagels, the cafe has been a Park Street staple in Bangor since 2017. A post on the cafe's Facebook page says, "Due to unforeseen health issues and a desire to prioritize family, we've made the difficult decision to close our doors." They say customers can purchase Wicked Brew memorabilia by contacting them through their Facebook page.
Oh, that's too bad. I always hate to see when a business like that closes up.
I love that place. They had great staff and ownership. It was lovely stuff. So I hope everybody's okay.
Yeah.
All right, the time now is 6:17. After the break, higher levels of PFAS are causing some families to have to go and get water directly from the treatment facility instead of their taps at home.
We'll hear more about what is being done to lower levels when Good Morning Maine continues.
Your local professional, eco-friendly office space partner is WVII Business Solutions, your one-stop shop to get the job done. Handling all your office furniture and printing machine needs at an affordable price. Offering full system integration into your workplace and local service on everything we sell. We can even remote monitor your system with just-in-time inventory and service need assessments. Little to no downtime gives you peace of mind. At WVII Business Solutions, your solution is only an email or a phone call away.
This year, Versant Power celebrates 100 years of service to customers. The times have changed, but Versant's commitment to providing safe, reliable electricity still holds true. They've helped our communities grow and prosper, powering homes and businesses through the years. Their team is always there when you need them most, in the field and behind the scenes. Then, now, and into the future.
Does your dream kitchen look like this? Or this? Or maybe you need a little more inspiration. Get it when you explore the complete in-store showroom displays at Hammond Lumber Company. When you find the look you like, the Hammond team will help you customize it, including accurate 3D renderings, so you can visualize your project before the work begins. Hammond offers delivery from any of the locations across Maine and New Hampshire and professional service after the sale. Your dream kitchen begins when you bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company.
Welcome back, folks. Leaders are in the process of getting forever chemicals out of their drinking water. Back in 2021, a new law required all public water systems and water at certain schools and child care facilities to be tested.
That turned up elevated levels. Mal Meyer explains what's being offered to residents while leaders look at long-term solutions.
We use this for any of our fresh drinking water.
Theodore Stevens and his wife Elizabeth Stone come to this spigot at least once a week.
Well, once or twice a week, depends on how fast we go through 2 gallons of water.
It's PFAS, or forever chemical free, unlike what comes out of their tap.
We just up to now figured it was all being taken care of. So it came as a shock that they needed to do more to filter the water.
After state law changed, PFAS testing in 2022 showed a combined amount of about 18 parts per trillion.
It was high enough to be concerning, so what we started doing is looking at what the possible EPA standards were going to be.
In that case, the tests were above federal limit levels. It's all part of a rapidly changing goalpost for leaders to reach.
We want to produce the best, safest water possible.
The problem is they believe the PFAS are coming from the Kennebec River. That, in part, recharges their aquifer, the drinking water source. To solve this, they're testing a few options.
We're looking at a $10 million treatment plant, but so far we've been awarded $8.2 million in grants.
Eventually, they're aiming to get one online sometime in 2027.
We're trying to pick out the best one that's going to match the characteristics of our water and be the most cost-effective for long term.
For Stevens, it's worth the investment.
Our health is important.
That's kind of a nightmare.
Oh, I can't imagine what those people are going through there.
It's scary.
You know,
and it's not just Hallowell, too. It's that surrounding area. All right, the time now is 6:21.
Let's get a full look at our forecast.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Irish Collision Center. Irish Collision Center offers expert repairs with a 3D frame measuring system, aluminum repair equipment. Our recent expansion boosts capacity, faster service. We're dedicated to quality every time. Visit us today. Alrighty, let's get things rolling after this morning. We got some areas of dense fog greeting us across parts of Washington County this morning, reducing visibility just a little bit. And we have a little bit across parts of the northwestern areas of the state too. That will of course clear out of here moving forward. It might take a little bit more time today as we do have some clouds moving in. We also have a small crowd advisory along the coast. It's been a while since I've shown the advisories map. This small crowd advisory along the coast will expire at 8 p.m. as we head towards your Friday. Wave heights, let's check in on those. We're not too bad just yet, but you can see the active surf further down to the south at around 4 feet, and some of that will be moving in our direction as that system slowly tracks off towards the north. But for now, we are seeing clouds tracking from the south going toward the north, so overall we will be under a mostly cloudy sky today. Some isolated showers possible not only inland but along the coast coming up later on today. There's a system right here, not moving very quickly, but there's the rain right there. No lightning with it, but we will be watching for some showers again possible along the coast and a few isolated showers inland coming up later on. But meanwhile, across the rest of the country, you can see an area of low pressure moving into parts of Canada, causing some showers and storms to develop. There is some more activity along the southeastern coast, but of course that system is the one we have our eye on at this time. So futurecast moving forward, a mostly cloudy sky today. Isolated showers possible coming up later on today in the parts of this evening, and also inland. We'll be watching for a few more of those possible overnight tonight in the parts of tomorrow. But once we head through tomorrow, and especially tomorrow night, that's when the system will begin to get pushed away, and then the rain chances will begin to wrap up. And then once we head towards parts of Saturday, that's when things will start to look a little bit better. But otherwise, our average high temperature is 70 degrees. We'll be above average in the low 80s today, lower 70s right near average Friday into Saturday. We have middle to upper 60s Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and also into your Wednesday, starting to feel like fall around here with cooler temperatures on the way. Lower 80s today, mostly cloudy, some isolated showers possible both inland and along the coast with that east breeze at around 5 miles per hour. Later on tonight, upper 50s, mostly cloudy with fog overnight, some isolated showers also. Northeast wind at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. As we head towards tomorrow, Friday, lower 70s, mostly cloudy and breezy. Isolated showers on the way. Northeast wind getting up to around 20 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Irish Collision Center. Mostly cloudy on Saturday with highs in the low 70s. First day of fall on Sunday, partly cloudy, highs in the upper 60s. Upper 60s Monday, under a partly cloudy sky.
Maine Paving is Eastern and Central Maine's go-to for all things paving. Maine Paving specializes in commercial and residential paving, grading, seal coating, and crack filling. And get this, refer someone that schedules a job and receive a $250 Visa gift card, currently booking for this year.
The insurance company wants nothing more than to deny your claim.
Deny.
Meet John.
Delay.
The adjuster. He sticks
Deny.
to the 3 Ds.
Delay. Deny. No. Devalue.
And if he does have to pay, it's often with a very tiny check.
At first I was going to delay, and then I thought, no. Denied.
They called the law offices of Joe Bornstein.
Maybe we should settle this one.
If you've been injured in an accident, call Joe, the law offices of Joe Bornstein.
your favorite restaurants for half off. It's half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7. Here's this week's featured deal.
The Farmer's Table in Corinna brings you outstanding breakfasts, lunches, and dinners made from farm-grown fresh ingredients. Dinner specials are available every day. Enjoy our homemade desserts, and above all, bring your appetite to the Farmer's Table in Corinna.
On sale Thursday at 9 a.m. A limited supply available half-off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7.
Mainers have been setting lobster traps for generations. But less than 2 years ago, they were this close to going out of business because of new regulations from Washington. Then Jared Golden stood up to Joe Biden and his own party to protect our way of life. Today, we are still fishing thanks to Jared. Some say Jared's gone Washington. It's true. He's gone there to tell the DC elites not to mess with us.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message.
Maine Paving is Eastern and Central Maine's go-to for all things paving. Maine Paving specializes in commercial and residential paving, grading, seal coating, and crack filling. And get this, refer someone that schedules a job and receive a $250 Visa gift card. Currently booking for this year.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
It's the news many have been waiting for. Interest rates are finally coming down for the first time in 4 years. The Federal Reserve made the announcement Wednesday, cutting interest rates by a whopping half percentage point. This aggressive move is intended to prevent a recession and signals the central bank is happy with how inflation is coming down. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor explains.
Borrowing money for a car, home, or on a credit card will get a little cheaper, thanks to the Federal Reserve slashing interest rates for the first time since 2020. Policymakers trimmed the rate by 50 basis points, bringing the range to 4.75 to 5%.
Our patient approach over the past year has paid dividends. Inflation is now much closer to our objective, and we have gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%.
The White House applauded the move for bringing some relief to borrowers.
It's a moment of progress. I think that's how we see this. And also a recognition of how far we have come.
Most economists support the rate cut and wish the Federal Reserve would have done this months ago. But some warn it's not going to fix everything.
The solution to our problems is to cut tax rates, not interest rates, and to do something about this massive government spending and debt.
Former President Trump wanted the Federal Reserve to wait until after the November election to cut rates. The economy, after all, is the #1 issue for voters, and the central bank is supposed to be apolitical.
They have a meeting in November, just days after the election. They could have done a big one then, and no one could have accused them of playing politics.
I don't believe, like I said, the average American is going to see a difference at the gas pump or in the grocery store.
The Fed's forecast also calls for another half-point cut to interest rates by the end of the year. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Well, there was another round of explosions of communication devices in Lebanon on Wednesday. This follows Tuesday's pager blasts, which left at least a dozen dead and thousands injured. A senior U.S. official tells Fox News Israel is behind those attacks. Fox News correspondent Nate Fay with that story.
A second wave of explosions in Lebanon, this time coming from handheld radios used by Hezbollah terrorists. Here you see several detonate in Beirut. This blast interrupted a funeral for 3 terrorists killed yesterday. A senior U.S. official tells Fox Israel is behind the explosions that took their lives. Israel embedded explosive devices in pagers delivered to Hezbollah terrorists in recent months. With more communication devices compromised today, Israel's infiltration of Hezbollah's supply chain is clear.
Israel will spend a decade developing sources using human intelligence and signal intelligence to be able to infiltrate the highest ranks of Hezbollah.
Lebanon's health minister says at least 32 people are dead and more than 3,200 others wounded from both rounds of explosions. Hamas extended support for Hezbollah, writing, quote, "We strongly condemn the renewed and ongoing Zionist aggression against the brotherly Lebanese people." Overnight Israeli airstrikes hit several Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon. A top Israeli battalion arrived near the Lebanese border. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said Israel is entering a new phase of the war, and the IDF is ready. Hezbollah is again vowing revenge against Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is promising a more secure northern border.
We will return the residents of the north securely to their homes.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with Egyptian leaders today, reiterating that the U.S. didn't know about any attack on Hezbollah beforehand.
It's imperative that everyone avoid taking steps that could further escalate or spread the conflict.
The leader of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, is scheduled to make a speech tomorrow. Until then, all eyes will be on the northern border as Israel awaits the retaliation for both rounds of explosions. In Tel Aviv, Nate Foy, Fox News.
The Department of Justice files a lawsuit against the owner and operator of the cargo ship that destroyed the Francis Scott Key Bridge. The deadly collision happened back in March, killing 6 construction workers and causing an economic disaster. The suit, filed in federal court in Maryland, is looking to recover over $100 million in damages from Grace Ocean Private Ltd. And Manager Synerger Marine Group, companies both based in Singapore. The companies filed a court petition days after the collapse to try to limit their legal liability. According to officials, the electrical and mechanical systems on the ship, the Dolly, were improperly maintained, causing it to lose power and go off course, ultimately hitting the bridge. In a written statement, Attorney Merrick Garland said, quote, "With this civil claim, the Justice Department is working to ensure that the costs of clearing the channel and reopening the Port of Baltimore are borne by the companies that caused the crash, not by the American taxpayer." And coming up on the second half of the newscast, a new company will begin patrolling the streets of Bangor, and while they aren't cops, they are here to help.
We'll tell you all about it. Morning Maine continues.
I got hurt by a big truck. Why did I call the twos? Because life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money, and I'll fight to get it for you. We got a client who broke multiple bones in a commercial vehicle accident, $700,000. Another client had a brain injury, and we got them $1.15 million. If you get hurt by a big truck, call the twos. We win for you.
Hurt by a big truck? Call the twos. We win for you.
GMA This Morning. Get ready to laugh when Sebastian Maniscalco comes back to
Big announcement.
Tell him, Sebastian.
Good morning, America. Let's do it.
Then tomorrow, it's Vince.
Oh, geez.
Vaughn on
Good morning, America.
Back by popular demand, the Lucerne Inn in Dedham presents its amazing Sunday brunch. Join us every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. for a culinary experience like no other. Indulge in an exquisite selection of dishes, all while enjoying breathtaking views. Seating is limited, so reservations are recommended, but walk-ins are always welcome. The Lucerne Inn Sunday Brunch, where great food meets a spectacular view. Call today to reserve your spot.
With his first vote in Congress.
His very first vote, Austin Terrio will put leaders in power hell-bent on
taking healthcare away from working Mainers.
Letting insurance companies charge us more for health care.
Cutting Medicare and Social Security benefits that we earned.
Terrio skipped work, but he still took his paycheck from taxpayers.
I think it's criminal.
Highway robbery.
I'm against Austin Terrio because he's against working people.
No-show Terrio will never work for Maine.
HMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
The Autumn Gold Festival is Ellsworth's annual fall celebration, organized by the Ellsworth Area Chamber of Commerce. From boat rides to carnival games, our cars show to our golf tournament and so much more. Come experience the Autumn Gold Festival while enjoying the splendor of fall in Ellsworth.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back, everyone. Today is Thursday, September 19th, 2024, and there are just 2 more days until fall officially begins.
Isn't that crazy?
Enjoy the summer while you can.
I know. In a few days, on Sunday, September 22nd, day and night will be nearly equal in length as Earth spins side on to the sun and autumn officially begins here in the northern hemisphere.
I'll never forget this spring, how you were so excited each morning. Oh my gosh, it's getting lighter earlier and earlier and earlier.
Now it's getting darker.
I'm not hearing anything about it getting darker earlier and earlier.
I know.
But,
it does make it easier to go to sleep because we have to go to bed so early, but no, I know.
I know. Pros and cons.
I was counting down the days every day. It's like, oh, by 2 more minutes.
Here comes summer. So Oh, well. We'll be doing it again.
It's okay. I like the changing of the leaves. I have been noticing that
too.
every time I go out.
I do too. And I like the winter up until like maybe January or February.
Yeah,
and
right.
Then I'm ready for spring.
I know.
But
We've had pretty mild winters lately too,
Yeah.
which is good for folks who don't love it, but bad for, snowmobilers, skiers, and stuff like that.
hey, it's 83. It was 83 yesterday or something like that.
Right?
So I'm not
We're
complaining.
let's not think about
Not
it yet. Yeah.
Good news. Black flies will go away. Mosquitoes.
I know. You got to put oil in your tank.
Well, I don't want to think. I'm trying to stay positive. Trying to stay positive.
Sorry.
All right, let's do some history. On this day in history, way back in 1796, George Washington's farewell address as the first United States president was published. This concluded the 20 years of public service, after of which he retired to his home at Mount Vernon in Virginia. They didn't have Facebook back then. They had to publish it and send it out to people.
No, it was pages and pages and pages.
Yeah, I know.
Which makes sense as somebody who, was one of the founding guys.
That's how they did it back then.
Right.
Yeah. All right. In 1881, President James Garfield, who had been in office just under 4 months, died after 80 days of struggling with wounds from an assassination attempt. And in 1959, Soviet First Secretary Nikita Khrushchev is denied access to Disneyland. No, you cannot come in.
I guess being a Soviet communist is one of the things that keeps you barred from Disneyland.
I had never heard of that one.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I was like, did he ask to come? Did he ask nicely?
Sorry, you can't come in.
No. In 1961, a couple named Betty and Barney Hill claimed they were abducted by aliens in a rural portion of New Hampshire. The incident became known as the Hill abduction and was widely publicized in books and movies. That's kind of a fascinating one to learn about.
It is. There was one in yesterday's history. It didn't make it into this segment, but it was on yesterday's date that Jimmy Carter reported a UFO sighting or something. Former President Jimmy Carter. So,
interesting.
yeah.
Was it when he was quite young?
Don't know much about it, but I think it was when he was older or something.
Really?
I'm sorry, that's why I didn't bring it up. It was a lot to explain, but I'll have to look into it.
Oh, I'm going to have to Google that
one. You can
one.
Google it.
Yeah.
Just Google it.
Yeah. In 1970, The Mary Tyler Moore Show premiered on TV. In 1991, in the Alps on the Italian-Austrian border, German tourists discovered a mummified human body that was determined to be about 5,300 years old and is considered to be Europe's oldest mummy. He has a name. I think it's Otzi. He's known as the Iceman, but kind of fascinating.
I remember that. Yeah, he was still in pretty good shape considering all that. Yeah,
right.
So, pretty interesting.
Yeah.
All right, for birthdays today, they include talk show host Jimmy Fallon, who turns 50 years old today. Actress Danielle Panabaker turns 37. You remember her? She was in a...
What is she in?
She was in a bunch of things.
A bunch of stuff.
She was in a movie that was shot in Waterville, too.
Really?
I don't remember the name now. I shouldn't have brought it up. But
no, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'll remember once I see her in something.
And country superstar Trisha Yearwood turns 60 years old today. So happy birthday to all of them. You wanted to say hi to somebody, too, at the chart room?
Yeah, we have a viewer who said hi yesterday. I posted a new headshot. I got a new work photo taken yesterday. And he said, hi, my name's Robert, or I don't think he introduced himself, but he watches us in the morning. He said, love you guys, and I go to work at the chart room in Bar Harbor after every day. So hi, Robert, who works at the chart room. Thanks for being kind.
Thank you for watching. Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like some clouds are coming in today, and it's kind of cooling off.
It is, and if you're working outside, see, I'm trying to stay positive. If you're working outside, it's great weather. You're not going to burn up in that nasty sun.
This is a lot of folks' favorite time of the year.
It's true.
I love this time of year too. I'm just, we have a touch of cynicism in us.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. So.
Here's Devin Biggs with that forecast.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Happy Thursday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Irish Collision Center. Irish Collision Center offers expert repairs with a 3D frame measuring system, aluminum repair equipment. Our recent expansion boosts capacity, faster service. We're dedicated to quality every time. Visit us today. Alrighty, here we go. So some areas of dense fog greeting us, and a few spots this morning, mainly across parts of Washington County and in the northwestern parts of the state. Again, nothing too extreme compared to anything yesterday in the northwestern parts of the state. One map I haven't shown you in a while is the advisories map. We now have a small crowd advisory along the coast right about in here, and now will last until about 8 p.m. as we head towards your Friday. But otherwise, we do have clouds that are starting to move in from the south and going toward the north. Later on today, there will be a small chance for a shower or two that may develop courtesy of this system. There it is, right about in here, going from the south and going to the north. It's going to try to get close closer to us, but it may have a hard time doing so before it gets pushed away. So futurecast moving forward, we got clouds that are approaching. There's that small chance for showers, not only inland, but along the coast later on today and again tonight as we head towards early tomorrow morning. As for the winds, not too bad today, roughly at around 5 miles per hour. They may pick up a little bit later on tonight, but especially as we head towards tomorrow, 10 to 20 mile per hour gusts will be expected. So your hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period, a lot of clouds, maybe an isolated shower. Temperatures still warming up into the 80s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
Thank you, Devin.
Thank you very much, Devin. There, let me cue it up. There we go.
There we go.
A New York-based company is hiring locals to help patrol Bangor's downtown streets.
Our Callie Warren takes us to meet one of the faces behind the bright orange uniform.
I feel like I'm not just a friend to the public, but also like making people feel safe.
Aiden Childs is a dad and a Bangor native. He's also a safety and hospitality ambassador for Street Plus, a company hired by the Downtown Bangor Partnership to help keep the streets of Bangor a little more secure.
I'm a people person, walking around 8 hours a day. I honestly could do that. That sounds like not work. That sounds like a good time, you know, because if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Street Plus ambassadors have been establishing routes around Bangor over the last few weeks to monitor the downtown region. Their duties include walking individuals to their cars at night and connecting homeless people with nearby resources.
Our big #1 concern is safety and hospitality. So that's making everybody feel safe and making everybody feel like they're heard and answering questions.
Ambassadors aren't law enforcement and don't carry weapons.
Yeah, no weapons. Like, I have a flashlight. We all have flashlights. But it's not like we're out here hitting people with flashlights. It's just like for checking those dark parking garages that don't have any light.
Ambassadors are available 24/7 in Bangor. Just look for the bright orange shirt.
The thing I always say is we're just here to help people. We are a friend to the homeless, to the regular citizen, to everybody. We're just here to help.
Check our website at foxbangor.com to learn how to contact Street Plus. In Bangor, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
What a neat shot driving through the sprinklers there.
Right.
I think it's a great idea. I saw a lot of negative comments on Facebook yesterday. I'm not quite sure, but I think it would be nice to have like an extra set of eyes down there all the time, walking people at night to their cars. I think it's wonderful.
I know. It is intended for safety, and
Yeah.
you know, if you've had to walk home alone at night, I think you always wish that somebody was around just to keep an eye out for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good luck to them.
Absolutely. All right, right after the break, Tyler Cruz will have our sports updates.
Don't go away.
All That's Metal in Herman is ready to be your trusted partner for your metal roofing and wall panel projects. Our high-quality metal roofing and wall panel systems are offered in a variety of colors and styles and backed up with a 40-year warranty. We manufacture standard as well as custom sizes in our facility in Herman. Homeowners and contractors, elevate your structures with our market-leading metal roofing and wall systems. Stop by our retail store at 893 Coldbrook Road in Herman to see our selections and to discuss your upcoming project. All That's Metal, the best roof and wall systems on the market. Pat's Pizza in Holden is not just a restaurant that serves delicious food and pizza. They also have an adjacent party and event room. Consider having your birthday or office party at Pat's Pizza. They have indoor golf, a pro shop, and a beautiful 9-hole golf course open for the season. Pat's Pizza, Holden. Harris Lumber is locally owned and has been serving the Pequot region for more than 50 years. See them for all your projects, big or small. Customer service is their #1 priority. And with a full line of lumber and hardware items, they can also deliver to your job site. Harris Lumber, Milo.
The longest lasting brand.
For best value, go with the longest lasting brand, Toyota. And at the Toyota Best Value event, you could get $5.99 for $72 on a turbocharged 4-wheel drive Tacoma with advanced comfort features and technology. Plus, get 2 years no-cost maintenance.
The longest lasting brand.
So for a vehicle with long-lasting value, see your New England Toyota dealer, your all-wheel drive headquarters. Toyota, let's go places.
Hey, good morning, America.
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 Every day of your life.
Hockey season is back in Orono. Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. With just a few weekends left before the season opener, the Black Bears are back on the ice in preparation to take another step forward this season. Maine hockey takes the ice on October 5th, hosting American International College in their season opener. The Black Bears were picked to finish 4th in the ever-competitive Hockey East this season, and despite losing some talented guys like Donovan Houle and Ben Poisson and, oh yeah, Bradley Nadeau to the NHL, they've got a lot of guys that can step up and fill those roles.
I think we have a lot of guys that can play at this level that are good players. You know, who's going to step into roles that, you know, take a step and you know, become a really good player than just a good player. I think that's what you're always, as coaches, you're always looking for. Obviously, you know, we lost Bradley, a really good player. We're not going to replace Bradley, but we need to replace him in the, you know, in the aggregate, so to speak, where, you know, we need everybody to be a little bit better.
Each year, Maine has taken a step forward under head coach Ben Barr, reaching the first round of the NCAA tournament last year, and there are some high expectations surrounding the team, but they feel no pressure whatsoever.
I don't think you feel pressure. I mean, we expect a lot of ourselves, and that's the, you know, we're going to hold the standard that, you know, that we set for ourselves, and it's much better to be in a situation where people expect things from you than just to put the jersey on and go out and skate around and have fun.
Moving on to some football now, we head over to Alphonse Stadium, where Maine football is looking to rebound after 2 tough losses. They hit the road this Saturday for Merrimack College. The Black Bears have lost the previous 2 games by a combined score of 92-46, doubling up, and were outscored in the first half of those games 65-15. So some promising second half play, but not enough. At practice this week, the Black Bears have put an emphasis on improving how they start games and sustaining that level through the entire half.
We got to start fast, offense and defense. We know that. We're working on it, so now we'll practice. Instead of starting off with Indy, we start off with a team. We're starting to practice the game habits, and it's going to turn over to the game and start fast.
Like the rhythm of a game, we want to be able to simulate that in practice as much as we can, and then, you know, just taking an evaluation of kind of how we're practicing, you know, doing less kick game, special team stuff in the beginning of practice, and getting into playing football sooner.
Teams can easily be discouraged after games of that nature and wonder where to go from there and how to rebound the next week. However, Maine had an energetic practice on Wednesday preparing for the Warriors. They say they're just falling back on that foundation that they've built.
You know, we have a lot of motivated, driven players who are hungry for success, but, you know, we got to realize that success comes from the work we put in during the week.
There's no other way here at the University of Maine than through grit and through hard work, and we got to bring that to practice every single day. So today the energy was great. Everyone just flying around, you know, with intent, and that's what we're looking for every single day.
Back to the ice now. Hockey is also back in Boston. Training camp officially gets underway this week. The players take the ice for the first time on Thursday, but one key player won't be joining them. Goalie and former Maine Black Bear Jeremy Swayman has not yet reported to camp and will not take the ice without a new deal, reports say. He was left off of the training camp roster by the Bruins, that's official, but there had been some positive talk, especially recently. And earlier Wednesday, GM Don Sweeney says he is optimistic a deal will get done.
You know, as I said, I'm disappointed. By the end of the day, I'm optimistic because I think he'll, you know, we'll find a landing spot before December 1st. You know, I have to continue to do my job. I have to respect, you know, the position that Jeremy and his camp has taken, and continue to try and find common ground.
Moving on back to the football field now. The Patriots take the field Thursday night in New Jersey, taking on the New York Jets, and it will be their first time taking on Aaron Rodgers as a member of their AFC East rival. Rodgers, the 2011 Super Bowl champ and multiple-time MVP with the Green Bay Packers, came to New York last season and tore his Achilles just 4 plays in. We know that story by now. Rodgers is not the Aaron Rodgers of the past. The discount double check is long gone, but he is still a dangerous guy in and out of the pocket. The Patriots defense has a lot of respect for the future Hall of Famer, and they're ready for the challenge.
Aaron Rodgers is one of the best Hall of Famer. He one of the best, you know, quarterbacks in the league still. You know, he's a Hall of Fame player, and you know, we know he'll be ready to go Thursday, and we'll be ready to go too.
All right, looking forward to that. That is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Angus is everywhere.
He's everywhere.
He's everywhere. Angus gets things done for me.
Angus does what he says.
He has an independent voice. He's a real person.
who works with both sides of the aisle.
Angus is a true leader.
He's always done the right thing.
Angus is there for small business owners like me.
Thanks to Angus, something finally got done on drug prices.
We need to send Angus back to D.C. to fight for our freedoms.
Angus has always been there for veterans like me. A lot of politicians talk about helping veterans, but Angus actually does it.
The only real way to get things done is to listen to each other and to work together. There's still plenty of work to be done. The rising cost of living, housing, fighting for our freedoms and our democracy. I'm Angus King, and I approve this message because there's plenty more to do. Let's get after it.
We the people, hand in hand.
Chevy gets it. I want it, and I can afford it can be one and the same. With Chevy Trax, a car and driver 10 best. The rugged Chevy Trailblazer. And Chevy Colorado, Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Chevy, all you want is all within reach, connected by OnStar.
Qualified lessees can get this 2024 Trailblazer LT for around $249 a month. Visit your main Chevy dealer.
The wait is over. Americans who need to renew their passports can do so online starting today. The U.S. State Department says its online passport renewal program will go live nationwide for the first time ever. It comes 2 months after beta testing the program. Around 200,000 people took part in the beta phase, and the agency estimates 50% of passport renewals will be done online in the future. The agency hired more workers and improved its website to meet demand. Passports that have been expired for more than 5 years do not qualify for that digitized application.
That is good news.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, now let's get a look at that forecast with meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Irish Collision Center. Irish Collision Center offers expert repairs with a 3D frame measuring system, aluminum repair equipment. Our recent expansion boosts capacity, faster service. We're dedicated to quality every time. Visit us today. Alrighty, let's get things rolling after this morning. We got some areas of dense fog greeting us across parts of Washington County this morning, reducing visibility just a little bit. And we have a little bit across parts of the northwestern areas of the state too. That will of course clear out of here moving forward. It might take a little bit more time today as we do have some clouds moving in. We also have a small crowd advisory along the coast. It's been a while since I've shown the advisories map. This small crowd advisory along the coast will expire at 8 p.m. as we head towards your Friday. Wave heights, let's check in on those. We're not too bad just yet, but you can see the active surf further down to the south at around 4 feet, and some of that will be moving in our direction as that system slowly tracks off towards the north. But for now, we are seeing clouds tracking from the south going toward the north, so overall we will be under a mostly cloudy sky today. Some isolated showers possible not only inland but along the coast coming up later on today. There's a system right here, not moving very quickly, but there's the rain right there. No lightning with it, but we will be watching for some showers again possible on the coast and a few isolated showers inland coming up later on. But meanwhile, across the rest of the country, you can see an area of low pressure moving into parts of Canada, causing some showers and storms to develop. There is some more activity along the southeastern coast, but of course that system is the one we have our eye on at this time. So futurecast moving forward, a mostly cloudy sky today. Isolated showers possible coming up later on today in the parts of this evening, and also inland. We'll be watching for a few more of those possible overnight tonight in the parts of tomorrow. But once we head through tomorrow, and especially tomorrow night, that's when the system will begin to get pushed away, and then the rain chances will begin to wrap up. And then once we head towards parts of Saturday, that's when things will start to look a little bit better. But otherwise, our average high temperature is 70 degrees. We'll be above average in the low 80s today, lower 70s right near average Friday into Saturday. We have middle to upper 60s Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and also into your Wednesday, starting to feel like fall around here with cooler temperatures on the way. Lower 80s today, mostly cloudy, some isolated showers possible both inland and along the coast with that east breeze at around 5 miles per hour. Later on tonight, upper 50s, mostly cloudy with fog overnight, some isolated showers also. Northeast wind at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. As we head towards tomorrow, Friday, lower 70s, mostly cloudy and breezy. Isolated showers on the way. Northeast wind getting up to around 20 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Irish Collision Center. Mostly cloudy on Saturday with highs in the low 70s. First day of fall on Sunday. Partly cloudy, highs in the upper 60s. Upper 60s Monday, under a partly cloudy sky.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Goose River Farm and Meat Store is conveniently located on Route 3 across from Hammond Lumber in Belfast. They have a wide selection of meat and poultry, including beef, pork, lamb, chicken, duck, rabbit, and turkey. Open Tuesday through Saturday.
Motorcycle accidents can happen fast. The effect on your life can be devastating.
I wasn't going to take a chance on my future.
I needed a lawyer who fights for bikers' rights.
Motorcycle law is complicated, and you'll need somebody who knows motorcycle law. A name the insurance companies know all too well.
A lawyer with the power to get you more. They got me way more than I thought I'd get.
Call Joe. The law offices of Joe Bornstein. Right now.
Tell them you mean business.
The last few years have been tough. Biden and Kamala's inflation is crushing working families, and Jared Golden is making things worse. In Washington, Jared Golden voted with Biden and Harris to raise taxes on middle-class families, and he supported their new energy tax that is driving up our heating costs. Biden and Harris changed Jared Golden. Now he's just another tax and spend politician who sells out Mainers.
Restoration PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
911, what's your emergency?
Now there's millions of killer bees loose in Los Angeles.
Well, the winning streak continues. Truergy's Corn Maze has been voted best in the country. They earned the top spot by USA Today's 10 Best Readers' Choice Awards for the third year in a row. This year's maze features the classic story of Peter Rabbit. There are also interactive trivia stations and a 25-foot observation tower. Truergy Maze designer and agricultural manager Kat Jenkins says their goal is to create a place where families can connect with agriculture and with each other. And apparently they're doing it right too. Congratulations to them.
Yeah, I can see why. That's beautiful. It's a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
They got all sorts of stuff to do over there. All right, if you missed anything, you can head to foxbangor.com. Good Morning America is next on ABC7, and we will continue for a renewed hour of Good Morning Maine. That's next on Fox 22.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. We hope you have a great day.
Your favorite restaurants for half off. It's half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7. Go to foxbangor.com, click on half off dining, and start saving now.
Take an epic quest to Dragonfire Pizza and elsewhere. Try the King Dragon Pizza. Dragonfire.
No more endless hold times or automated responses. We're here to listen, support, and provide you with the exceptional service you deserve. Our fast, reliable fiber internet, it's mind-blowing. Let us show you what true internet satisfaction feels like.
Need your car fixed? You got somebody. Need your roof repaired? You got somebody. Need electrical work? Here's your somebody. The team at Ideal Energy Solutions is ready to tackle anything electrical in your home. From upgrading your service to handle today's appliances and heat pumps to whole house wiring, Ideal Energy Solutions is your somebody. Contractors for residential and commercial work. Don't settle for less than ideal. Go with Ideal Energy Solutions. Call today.
Your favorite restaurants for half off. It's half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7. Go to foxbangor.com, click on half off dining, and start saving now.
The brand new Chung Li Chinese restaurant, located in the Waterville Concourse, offers truly delicious, authentic cooking with the best poo-poo platter in the area. Lunch specials and dinner accommodations available for dine-in, takeout, and delivery.
Great restaurants from all over Eastern Maine at half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7.
This is more than just a job.
We save people.
Go!
This is the most dangerous beach in the world. We got this. But we have to do it together. All of us.
Hurry!
big, we're not in it for the glory.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor. From the Great Northwoods to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello, everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, new details on a shooting in Bangor that left one man in jail and another in the hospital.
Plus, Maine's Government Oversight Committee continues its probe into the state's child welfare system.
And we'll also meet Bangor's new street patrol team, working to keep the downtown area safe and clean.
Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us. We'll have those stories and a lot more coming up. But first, a check of the forecast, looking like we're going to see some more clouds today compared to the last few days. We've seen lots of sunshine, maybe even a chance of some isolated showers out there too.
I know.
Probably could use it a little bit.
I know. Devin told us earlier it seems like they're moving in from the coast.
Right.
Let's get a look at that forecast with meteorologist Devin Biggs.
All righty, thank you very